Hi friends, Holly Jaros with Denver Luxury Real Estate. I'm being joined by a special guest today, Jacalyn Forleo of Zenith Home Loans. Hi, Jacalyn.
How are you?
Good, good. Hey, wanted to talk to you today about something that I'm hearing all over town.
Okay.
Everyone keeps on saying, I can't afford to sell because I can't afford to buy.
Right.
You heard that?
Oh yeah, lots of times.
Yes, yes. People know that they have equity in their home, but they're looking at the prices of new houses and they're like, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
So I thought we could go over like a real life scenario and you could help us crunch the numbers so that we can see what it really looks like.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I have my very good friends, Mr. and Mrs. R.
Hmm.
They are actually both working permanently from home now. Problem is
Okay.
they only have one office. So one of them's working at the dining room table. So every night he has to pack up his office so that they can have dinner. Not
Right.
very convenient.
Not convenient at all.
Yeah, but they're one of those people who are saying, I see the housing prices out there, Holly, and I can't do it. We kind of actually went over like what they would look for in a new house, and to really get their dream home, they need like a budget of $1 million, which
Okay.
sounds like so much money.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I thought you may be good to help us go over the numbers.
Yeah, for sure. So what I thought we would start with is just kind of looking at, so like they bought in 2008. And then I have that purchase price is around 210. So I thought what might be beneficial is for us to take a look at what would it cost? What did it cost then? And what would that same house cost now? Because I think we talked about that purchase price being or on that sale on their current house being around 645 for the
Yeah.
sale. And so we're going to have all that equity in the house. And so, okay, what would that look like for somebody going in and buying the exact same house, doing exactly what they did, just flashing forward to 2022 and looking at like the $1 million purchase price range, just so we can kind of compare it and see it's really not all that different based on just the timing of all of it. So I have a mortgage coach presentation prepared for this. And so let's make sure I share the right one for us. Okay, so you should be able to see the 2008 purchase. Is that the right one?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I kind of just tried to mirror this based off of when they bought the house. So I'm assuming about 5% down based on what their current payment is. And estimating interest rates back then were around 6%. So based on that piece of information, we put down 5%. We have a $199,000 loan amount. Our monthly payments around $1,630, and we had $10,500 to close. And that's our all-in closing costs plus our down payment, all that stuff. That same house today, the rate's actually lower today than it was back then on average at 5.375. So that's an interesting little statistic. Everybody's freaking out about interest rates. And it's like, they're actually better today than they were back in 08 and 09. And so it's all relative, right?
Yes.
So that payment today, obviously it's a big jump in payment because it's a different price of a house. We have a different demand now. We've got that general increase in just everything across the board, from gas to groceries to housing, of course. And so that payment today, if we just did 5% down, that's going to put us at 4,103. So if we look at $1 million purchase price today, so selling this house that we bought in 2008 and taking all of that cash to put down for the new house, so now we're buying $1 million property, that rate's still 5.3. But now my payment's only $36.94 because I have this huge down payment to put down. My rate's really not changing all that much, but I'm borrowing a smaller loan amount because I have all this equity from this house that I bought back in 2008. So yeah, we need significantly more money than 5% down, but hey, we have it because we bought a house back in 2008. And then what I wanted to do is just compare the 30-year fixed rate term to the 7-year ARM, just because those ARMs tend to be a little bit better in interest rate. So just using that same scenario, and it drops that payment about $95, but our cash out of pocket doesn't change at all. And in all likelihood, they probably refinanced at some point, whether it was to pull some more money out to do some home improvements, or they just saw rates had dropped quite a bit and that interest rate had gotten better, especially in 2020 to 2021. So in all likelihood, we probably saw some refinance opportunities since that 2008 timeline. And the reason why I bring that up is we're going to see that again. So we're anticipating rates are probably going to come down either end of this year or sometime next year, definitely in the next 18 to 24 months. And so everybody who's buying now or even refinancing now into these higher rates, depending on what higher means to you, of course, but we'll likely see a refinance opportunity, whether that's to take you out of certain loan territories. So maybe you're in a jumbo loan, now it's conforming. Maybe we buy with mortgage insurance. We got to get rid of that mortgage insurance payment. Maybe we need to do a cash, pull out some cash out of the property and do some home improvements and things like that. So even though rates feel like they're higher and prices feel like they're higher, there's still a lot of opportunity there.
So when you say 7-year ARM, because I know a lot of people hear ARM and they're like, oh, that's an adjustable rate every day. Like tomorrow, if it goes up, my interest is going to, or my payment's going to go up. But you're saying it's set for 7 years.
Yes. So
7 years.
Yeah. So it's based off of, so you've got your 30-year fixed rate, meaning that the loan and the rate is locked in for the full 30 years of the loan. The 7-year ARM, the payments based on the 30-year amortization. So I'm going to assume you're still going to have this loan for 30 years. The rate's locked and fixed for the first 7 years. And in year 8, that's when it's going to adjust up or down depending on market conditions. I've seen them adjust up. I've seen them adjust down. It just completely depends on what the market's doing at that time. But again, you're likely to see a refinance opportunity, or this may not be a 7-year home for you. Maybe this is only a 3-year home or a 5-year home. Regardless, there'll likely be an opportunity for us to refinance you out of that rate at that time. And sometimes it makes sense to look at that. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's always worth knowing what your options are. And that's really what this is about.
Right. 3,600, that doesn't seem so scary. I mean, that's the price of a 3-bedroom apartment.
Exactly.
So you know what, they might want to pay it off a little bit sooner than 30 years, so that they can retire. So can you show me what it would look like for different loan terms?
Absolutely. So we're going to share a different platform for us. So this one is comparing that same $1 million purchase price. We're putting down the same payment, but now I'm looking at a 30-year, a 20-year, and a 15-year. There's also an option for a 25-year and a 10-year, but we want to just kind of keep this as simple as we could for everybody. And so we've got your 30-year, that rate's 5.375. So we've got that just shy of $3,700 a month payment. If we go to the 20-year, it drops our rate, but it ups our payment. So we've got $4,267. 15-year, same thing. We get a lower rate, but a higher payment. And then I just left in that 7-year ARM just for comparison purposes. And what's nice about this is what we could do is you could do the 7-year ARM or even the 30-year fixed and make the payment as though it were the 20-year or the 15-year. So there's no prepayment penalty. I don't want to say on any loans, but on any of the loans that I do, there's no prepayment penalty. So what that means is if you ever wanted to make an extra principal payment to the loan at any time, you can always do that. What's nice about it, especially when we're talking about clients who are going from a smaller purchase price range and jumping up into a much higher category, going from $1,600 a month to $4,200 or $5,000 a month, probably not super comfortable, but maybe they have access to do it. So by not pigeonholing them into this higher rate in this fixed term, maybe it makes sense for us to do the 30-year, but make the payment when we can or when we want to, as though it were the 15-year. So you're still going to save interest and you're still going to shave off extra years off the end of the loan. And maybe we get to a point where we can refinance into a 15-year structure and that payment's a lot more comfortable. So there's always some options there too. You can make a bigger principal payment, pay the balance down sooner. But then as long as I'm not obligated on this $5,000 payment one month where maybe we want to go on vacation or something happens or whatever the case may be, we just don't want to make a higher payment because who wants to make a huge payment? But that just gives us a little bit more flexibility to kind of adjust our cash flow however we want to.
Awesome. That sounds great. So thank you for breaking that down for us.
Of course.
And then one more thing before I let you go, interest rates, you mentioned them. You think they're going to come down?
I do think they're going to come down. What I did is I actually had one more just in case you asked me that question. So I've got another presentation for you. What I did, because I've had a lot of clients that are just like, oh man, these rates are really high. And it's like, well, again, it's all relative. Like, as I mentioned, I got into the business in 2007 and rates were 8%. And so I'm still not at a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, these rates are so high. Because for me, they're still low comparatively, but I've seen different things. I think the big thing to know is those rates that we saw in like the mid to low 2s and low 3s, even that's like discount mortgage rates and like everything's on clearance and get it while it's hot. But once it's gone kind of thing. And I think that's where we're at now. And I mean, the jump was abrupt and it was a little aggressive. And obviously that's a little uncomfortable, especially when we live where we do and prices are constantly going up. But There's all signs point to a recession, and we're already in the midst of it. We're already seeing it. Inflation's really high, and we know we can't sustain that for very long. So in all likelihood, rates are going to come back down. The question I can't answer is how much higher are they going to go before they come back down? And when they do come down, how low are they going to go? I don't think we're going to see twos. I think those are gone. Threes, maybe, but questionable. I think we'll probably hang out in the fours and low fives again. Again, just depending on kind of what they're doing. And so what I did is I just set up where they were at 3%, like 6-8 months ago in 2021. So we're at 3%. So 550 purchase price across the board. Where we are now, 5.375. And then where are they going? It just jumped us up to 6. I was at a conference over the weekend with 10 other lenders for different companies. And I had everybody saying, no, I think we're close to our peak. I think 6-ish is where we're at. And I had a couple people say, no, I think we'll probably get to like 7.5, 8. So, I mean, it's anybody's guess where these go. What's important to know, and I'm sure you get this question all the time, is it the right time to buy? And it's like, I mean, yeah, it's that old proverb, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time to do it is today. I think the same can be true with a house. I mean, if you're ready to buy and you're in a position where you can, then why not? Because you see your clients who bought this house in 2008 and that's so much equity. It's so much cash. There's a lot you can do with it. If they didn't want to, they could like take that money and just go buy a van and live that van life. I mean, there's so many things you could do with that kind of liquidity, and that allows them the flexibility. And the flexibility is really what drives things, I think. And knowing you have the ability to like, oh, well, I could put down 400,000 or I could put 450. And I have this fluctuation of this price range I can be in. And because I have clients who we can't go over 300 and your payment cannot exceed this amount. And it's completely doable, but it's much more challenging. It's a little bit more stressful. So having more flexibility, I think, is key in this market. And I mean, people always need somewhere to live. So the housing, I don't think this is going anywhere. I think this is where we're at.
And everyone always asks me, oh, this is a bubble, this is a bubble. And you mentioned recession, and then people really start to freak out. There's not a bubble in the housing market.
Yes,
in the housing market. We do not have enough inventory. Mm-hmm. We're not anywhere close to having enough inventory. We're not building enough, and Denver's not making that any easier. So buy now, even if interest rates are up, because housing prices are just going to keep on going up.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an important distinction to make. This is not the recession. The housing crisis we experienced in 07 and 08 was so different. And I came in right at the start of it, but I was in the thick of it. And I remember all of the things, and we had too many houses and there was bad loans being written, and it was just a variety of things. This is more of an economic recession. Inflation's high. There's just bad decisions being made all over the place. And I think the thing too to consider is, interest rates on mortgages, they're higher than where we want it. But if you're renting, your interest rate's 100%. Yep. You're not gaining anything by renting. And you probably have a credit card that you're paying 15-30% on. And so it's like, I mean, it's higher, but you gain so much by home ownership. You gain equity, you've got tax benefits, you have somewhere to raise your family, you have somewhere to downsize to, whatever the case is. There's just so many other benefits that I think outweigh the one little thing that is, interest rates aren't as pretty as they were a year ago, but
we were spoiled a year ago.
Yes, we were very spoiled. Yeah. The best comparison I've seen so far is somebody else had said, they're like, those were super deep discount clearance rates. I'm like, those definitely were. So
exactly.
They're gone now. I'm really sorry. I wish they were back because they were pretty cool, but it is what it is.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jacalyn. I think that clears up a lot, and I really appreciate your expertise.
All right. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. See ya.